Welcome back to Plus One Biology. We have almost completed our first lesson, Biological Classification. I think you are very thorough about the chapter. Then today we are starting with a new chapter. It is Biomolecules. Okay? Before entering to the major biomolecules, you must know what is the difference between a living organism's body and a non-living substance. When we take any non-living substance, a piece of chalk, a piece of wood, anything, it is made up of what? Inorganic elements, Whereas a living organism's body, you know this is a fundamental idea, very basic knowledge. You know it from your previous classes onwards. Whereas a living organism's body is made up of number of thousands of organic molecules. Okay, ultimately these organic molecules are also made up of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen like elements. Okay, anyway, when we compare a non-living substance and a living organism, okay, we can just understand what is a biomolecule. A biomolecule is an organic molecule present only in living organism's body. Biomolecule. Bio means life. Then molecule. This is a molecule present in living organisms. Okay. So these are the molecules present in living organisms, and these are mostly carbon containing molecules. We can call them as organic molecules. So you will study the biomicromolecules and biomacromolecules thoroughly in this chapter. Okay, let us discuss the biomolecules, and before that, how can we understand there are such biomolecules and what are the biomolecules present in our body? What is the method of separating them? And also, how can we separate the elements from our body? There are two major methods. The first one is to separate organic compounds in our body. It is known as chemical analysis. Just familiarize the two techniques, chemical analysis and elemental analysis. Okay, let's discuss the first one, chemical analysis. Okay, in chemical analysis, we can separate the organic molecules or the biomolecules in our body. What is done in this method? In this particular technique, we are grinding a piece of living tissue. Suppose apart from our body, a piece of our flesh or a piece of liver, okay, any chicken or mutton or any liver piece or any piece of plant tissue, okay, maybe a tuber, okay, anything, potato or any vegetable tissue. A piece of living tissue is ground with trichloroacetic acid. The first step is grind the living tissue with trichloroacetic acid. Acetic acid, you know, CH3COOH. Okay, so here it is, or hydrogen is substituted by chlorine. So CCl3COOH. So with the trichloroacetic acid, we are grinding the living tissue. Okay, the first step of chemical analysis is grind a piece of living tissue with trichloroacetic acid. So we are using acid here. And in the second step, we are filtering them. Filter them through a cotton or a cheesecloth. Okay, filter the content through a cotton or cheesecloth. During filtration, when we do the filtration, okay, we are just taking what is anything. Okay, we are just lining it with the cotton or the what? Okay, cotton or cheesecloth is used as a filter, not the filter paper. Then we add the grind tissue. Okay, then see through this one, what is filtered out? Okay, here we get the filtrate. After this process, here we get the filtrate, whereas we get some residues here. Okay, this is what is called retentate or residue. Okay, so you have studied it in chemistry. So this is a very rough diagram. During filtration, when we use instead of filter paper, we are using cotton or cheesecloth. Okay, when we filter the content as such through this filter, during filtration through this cotton filter, what we obtain here, collected here, is called filtrate, and what we get as residue here is called retentate or residue. So we can say all acid soluble portion will be here. All acid soluble, which is soluble in this trichloroacetic acid, all acid soluble substances we can collect here, whereas what is left as residue will be acid insoluble fraction. Okay, so during our filtration, what we get as filtrate, acid soluble fraction will be organic molecules. So we can get all organic molecules here as filtrate. Thousands of organic molecules can be collected here. Okay. Then there are so many techniques to separate these organic molecules now. Centrifugation is one of the common methods. Okay. These organic molecules we can separate according to their density by centrifugation. Anyway, we are not going to the details of that. Just understand, in chemical analysis, we are grinding the living tissue in trichloroacetic acid, then filtering it through a filter, either cotton or cheesecloth, and filtrate we get the organic molecules. So this is a method of separation of organic molecules. We get them as acid soluble filtrate. Very simple. Okay. Then the next technique is to separate elements. How can we get the elements in a living tissue? Elemental analysis. Okay, in elemental analysis, first we have to do is, you know what is fresh weight of an organism? Fresh weight. What's the difference between fresh weight and dry weight? A living plant tissue is given to you. What is this fresh weight? This fresh weight means weight along with water. Its dry weight means after drying, after the removal of complete water traces, what is its weight? Okay, the first step of elemental analysis is dry the living tissue. Okay, dry the living tissue properly. Okay, complete drying. It will remove all traces of water. So in elemental analysis, the first step is to dry the living tissue to remove the water traces, water content. And second step is burn the tissue burn it completely into ash. Okay, burn it into ash. So what happened at this time? See, when we burn, what is escaped as gases? Will be all volatilizing substances. Organic compounds will be escaped. All organic compounds will be volatilized and it is escaped as carbon dioxide or water vapor. Okay, so all organic compounds of the living tissue, when we burn it, it will be removed. Whereas what is left in the ash will be inorganic elements. So we can separate the elements. Okay, so ash contains inorganic elements. So this is the technique. Elemental analysis is a technique to separate elements, inorganic elements from the organic compounds. A living tissue is first dried properly and completely burned to ash. The ash contains the inorganic elements, whereas all organic compounds will be escaped as gases. Okay, and these two techniques just keep in mind. Then we can move to the biomolecules. Okay. The first biomolecule we are going to discuss is what? Amino acid. As the name suggests, an amino acid is having an amino group and an acidic group in structure. Okay, so an amino acid is an organic molecule which consists of an amino group and an acidic group, carboxyl group. Okay, so an amino acid consists of this one amino group and this one acidic group in structure. It's an organic compound. Here we can see the amino acids are considered as substituted methane. You know the structure of methane, CH4. Okay. Then if the methane is substituted, when I when I draw it, elaborate. Okay, molecular structure. See, this is what is methane. Okay, when this methane is substituted with this amino group, carbon nitrogen is a bond. That's why I have written N first. Okay, here the bond is between carbon and carbon. So COOH. See, both these groups are substituted here in methane. So we can say this is a simplest amino acid. Amino acid is an organic compound containing amino group and carboxyl group, and this is called as substituted methane. So an amino acid is simply a substituted methane. Okay, this is the simplest amino acid. Then how are other amino acids? There are 20 amino acids in nature which are involved in protein synthesis. There are 20 different amino acids based on this difference in the structure. Okay, how are they formed? See, this is the general representation of an amino acid. Here we can say this as R group. This is a side group. This is a variable group. Based on this difference in the R group, there are different amino acids. Okay, so amino acids are substituted methanes. Minimum it must carry one amino group and one carboxyl group. Okay, then the simplest amino acid R group is H. R group is the side group, a variable group. Based on the difference in R group, there are different amino acids. We are going to work that. Okay, so there are different amino acids on the basis of the difference in the variable side group R. We represent by R. Okay, let us discuss the structures of some of the amino acids. Okay, you have to study this thoroughly. Okay, anyway, the basic structure, the typical structure of amino acid we have discussed. It has an amino group, then a carboxyl group, then hydrogen here, and a variable group R. Okay, this is a typical structure of amino acid. Okay, then which is the simplest amino acid? The simplest amino acid has hydrogen as the side group. So simplest amino acid can be written like this. Okay, its molecular structure is like this. Here is hydrogen, and the variable group, side group also is hydrogen. Okay, this is known as glycine. Okay. Second one, if the R group is methyl group. Okay, if the R group is methyl group, CH3. This is the amino acid alanine. The name of this amino acid is alanine. And the next one, some examples that is given in your book only we are discussing. It is serine. Another example given in your book is serine. It has the side group hydroxymethyl group, that is CH2OH group. Okay, this is a common structure, and the side group in serine is CH2OH. Okay, this can be written, drawn like this or this way. Okay, if the side group is hydroxymethyl group, it is serine. Okay, the next one, cysteine. Cysteine is a sulfur containing amino acid. Here the side group is CH2SH. It contains sulfur. If the side group is CH2SH, sulfur containing, okay, then this is cysteine. The name of this amino acid is cysteine. Okay, then the next amino acid given in your textbook is tyrosine. The next amino acid given in your book is tyrosine. Tyrosine is an aromatic amino acid. This is a basic structure, hydrogen, and in the aromatic amino acid in the side group it has CH2, then benzene ring, and then phenol. Okay. This is what is tyrosine. Tyrosine is an aromatic amino acid with a ring structure in the side group. Then one more amino acid structure is given in a textbook, that is glutamic acid. That is glutamic acid. Glutamic acid is a typical general structure. It has one more acidic group in the side chain. CH2, CH2, COOH. This is glutamic acid. Since it's having one more acidic group, we will discuss it. The properties we discuss, it is glutamic acid. You have to draw the structure and study this. Okay, don't simply by heart, study the structures, molecular structures of amino acids. Amino acids is a typical structure. It contains amino group and carboxyl group, and based on the variability of this group, there are different amino acids. About 6 of them are drawn here. There are 20 amino acids in nature which are involved in protein synthesis. 2 more amino acids have been discovered recently, but 20 are involved in protein synthesis. So the simplest amino acid is having the R group, what? Hydrogen. So this is the simplest amino acid. Only the change is here only, that is glycine. And if the side group is methyl group, that is alanine. And if the side group is hydroxy methyl group, that is serine. And if the side group contains sulfur, CH2SH is the side group, that is cysteine. And if the side group contains an aromatic ring structure like this CH2, then phenol ring, that is tyrosine. The other aromatic amino acids are there, we will discuss the names only. Only this structure you need to study as per your textbook. Then if the side group is CH2, CH2, COH, if it is with one more carboxyl group, it becomes acidic, that is a glutamic acid. Study these structures seriously. Okay, then let us move to the properties of amino acids. Okay, properties of amino acids. See, amino acids, you know, it contains amino group and acidic group in the structure. So most of the amino acids are neutral. Okay, it has both amino group and basic group and acidic group. Most of the amino acids are neutral, whereas some amino acids are acidic. There are acidic amino acids. When an amino acid becomes acidic? Tell me, when an amino acid, you have seen the structure of glutamic acid earlier. What is? If there is an extra carboxylic acid group, if COH group is there extra, that become what? What? Acidic in nature. So if there is an extra COH group, acidic group, the amino acid become acidic. Then similarly, the amino acid can be basic if there is an extra amino group. Okay, when there is an extra amino group, amino acid can be basic. That means if there is more amino group, amino acid can be basic. Okay, normally one amino group, equal number of amino group, carboxyl group means that is neutral. One amino group extra means that is basic. One carboxyl group extra, that is acidic. Okay, simple fact. Then let us discuss one each example for them. Then neutral amino acid, already you know the examples. We have drawn the structure of serine, cysteine, everything. So the simplest one you write glycine, okay, alanine, valine, etc. are neutral. Okay. Then acidic amino acid examples. Now itself you have seen it. Glutamic acid is there as an acidic amino acid. One more acidic amino acid is there, that is aspartic acid. Aspartic acid is another acidic amino acid. Basic amino acids are lysine, arginine, etc. are basic amino acids with more amino group. Okay, basic amino acids are lysine and arginine. See, because of these groups, amino group and carboxyl group, amino acids have ionization ability. Okay, see the first property we have discussed, they may be mostly neutral or acidic, okay, or what, basic. Amino acids can be like this. The second feature about the amino acid, the ionization property of amino acids. Okay. In solutions of different pH, since they are having amino group and carboxyl group, in the pH, if they are in different pH, they can show ionization. See, this amino group of amino acid is having a tendency to remain as positively charged ion. This can receive proton and it can be in NH3 plus 4. And similarly, it is having a tendency to remove one proton, okay, and to remain as negatively charged ion. So, just understand, these two groups are easily ionizable group. So, under different pH, they show ionization. That means the amino group is having a tendency to accept one proton and to remain as what? And to remain as NH3 plus ion. Similarly, this is having a tendency to remove one proton and remain as COO minus ion. This can remain as a positively charged ion under particular pH, and this can remain as a negatively charged ion. Okay, then we are just moving to that ionization of amino acids. So amino acids can remain as positively charged ions if its amino group is ionized. The first case. So amino acids can remain as positively charged. Now this is positively charged ion. Okay, when its amino group is ionized. Similarly, amino acid can remain as negatively charged ion when its carboxyl group is ionized. It can remain as negatively charged ion when cation anion, all you are familiar. Negatively charged ion when it is its carboxyl group is ionized. So, if amino group is ionized, it will remain as positively charged ion, and if carboxyl group is ionized, it will remain as negatively charged ion. Okay. Interestingly, amino acid can remain as bipolar ion too. All these forms are in the convertible forms. See, this is actually here. The amino acid can remain as bipolar ion in which both the sides ionized. Okay. See, amino acids can also exist under particular pH. Amino acids can also exist as a bipolar ion in which amino group is ionized and also carboxyl group is ionized. This particular ion is known as, this ionic form is known as Swifter ion. So what is a Swifter ion? What is a Swifter ion? A Swifter ion is a bipolar ion with both the groups ionized in an amino acid. Okay. So if this amino group ionized and carboxyl group ionized, both the charges are there, then this is bipolar, then it is known as Swifter ion. Okay, that's all about the amino acids, and some more properties of amino acids we discuss in the entrance classes, and for the regular this is enough. Okay, as per your book, these two properties only given, whether it is neutral, acidic or basic, and what is meant by ionization of amino acids. Any more doubt means we will elaborate in the live session. Thank you. See you in the next class.